Today we're diving into an epic rebuild of Frankfurt in FM24, currently sitting third in the Bundesliga, but we've got big goals, winning the Bundesliga title and the Champions League, and we're doing it all with a massive twist. We're sticking to Wonderkid restrictions. That means we can only sign players 21 or younger, and all the current players over 21 who weren't born here are out. It's going to be a wild journey full of young stars and big challenges. Can we build a dynasty in Germany and take down Europe's finest? Stay tuned, be sure to leave a like, let's go and find out. So then, this is going to be Frankfurt inside of the game. Now obviously you know who they are, they're a very, very good team who of course, not so long ago, were quite well known for winning another European title. As a club they have one Bundesliga title, 2 European titles, 5 Pokals, 1 Bundesliga 2 and 1 Hessen trophy right there. What I will say, as an actual team their reputation is relatively good, but what we're doing today is quite different compared to any normal rebuild. We're only allowed to use players or bring in players that are 21 or younger. This means that a lot of the signings you see might not be the usual signings you see with your typical Frankfurt rebuild. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over and simply show you right now the tactics page and sort of show you the players that we have actually got to work with. Now, what I will go and say is we have obviously released a lot of players or cashed them in for minimum value, and this is what the team looks like going in to that first season. Now, we have got some serious talent in this team. The likes of Atabolu is a great goalkeeper. Fort is also a fantastic right back. We can go and look at Fiata, Beidou at centre back, a great left back in there as well. The midfield looks very, very good. The main man, the man on the thumbnail, is of course going to be Canate. This guy is an absolute baller. He come in for 16 million, so a bit of a bargain right there, and I think it does make sense to help you understand exactly what we have done is to go over and show you this transfer page as well. So what I have simply done is on the outgoings is let everybody go to the Saudi League for their minimum price. So that does include the likes of Marmoush, who of course is worth a lot more than 5.5 million, but I don't want to cheat and customize the amount, so I put in the lowest amount because that way it is fair. And that obviously generated a lot of money, which then means we could go and spend 151 million. Well, we are going to bring in some serious talent, including the likes of Nene, the likes of Rego, obviously Canate, Atabolu. We have brought in some real top Wonderkids. Now, even though we've done that, our squad is still quite small. So this first season, I'm going to be honest, we might not even get inside the top 4, because when you look outside of the starting 11, yes, you've got the likes of Nene on the bench, who is a very, very good player. We're not that strong off the bench, to be honest, so we'll see what happens. I mean, we are also playing in 3 competitions. We are playing, of course, in that Europa League, so that doesn't help for the amount of games we're playing. Of course, the Bundesliga, they are going to be predicting a finish of around about 12th place, so quite a big shift up there. The Europa League, I've not really got too much expectation in, and the Pokal, I'm not too fussed about for the first season. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go over and test and hopefully see what happens in this first season. If you do enjoy the rebuilds, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you do like what you see in terms of the rebuild file or the tactic, you can come over and join the Patreon. We have got a record-breaking monthly giveaway going on as well. Be sure to check it out. The link is going to be in the description below. But let's get into season 1 and let's just try and get Europa football again. As for the Europa League, we actually didn't do that well at all, to be honest. Now, I'm only really going to show it. I know I said that I didn't really care, but the fact we're going to go out to Club Brugge is a bit of a disappointment, because if we did get through, we go into the quarterfinals, for example, there still are quite a fair few teams that I feel like we could have beaten. So it is a little bit annoying to go out that early, but at the end of the day, I can't turn back on what I said. I said I didn't really care that much. We'll stick with it. As for the DFB Pokal, actually a decent performance. We are going to get all the way to the semi-finals, where unfortunately we are going to lose to Bayer Leverkusen. Again, I could be annoyed, but realistically we would have ended up playing Bayern, and at the moment we are nowhere near the level to beat Bayern, and that's because I can comfortably say that because I've seen the league table. We finish in 10th place, so we are very far away from that European zone. We're 7 points off being inside the top 7, which is an absolutely dreadful season. We've only really got one person to really talk about, and that is going to be Karim Canate as your 3rd top goal scorer. Now, I know the team has changed drastically. I know these players are very, very young. They've still got to improve, but that is simply so far off the actual mark we should be doing at the moment. And if we actually go and look at the players, we can obviously go and see what's happened. Let's go and put in our best 11 and sort of see who has performed, who hasn't. At the moment, we're going to be looking at the likes of Canate and obviously Hugo with 20 and 24, which is good stat lines, but obviously nowhere near good enough. It's not just their responsibility to win games. They're getting the goals. We clearly aren't defending that well or holding the ball well enough. And to find that out, we can go and see here, we are the 8th worst in the league when it comes to goals conceded, and we are the 5th best. So we're actually overperforming in terms of scoring goals. We're almost, well, we're 5 places up on that. When it comes to the conceded area, we are definitely in the weaker side. So I will say the money that we've got has to be put in bringing in new centre-backs or new defenders. But I say that our back line is really, really good. The likes of Hector Fort is a very, very good right back. I look at him on paper and he's got everything you would want for a right back. He come in for 19 million. He's dropped an okay average rating. I think what it could be is they might just need 2 or 3 seasons to really start to grow into first team Bundesliga players and really compete with the best. But sometimes if there is a better option on the market, you have to go and bring them in. So we'll see how much money we've got. We have got a budget of 36 million pounds, so that isn't enough to really change the whole team anyway. So if you are worrying like, Josh, don't change everything, we're not going to change everything. We've got 36 million, so I might try and bring in one player. Now if we look at what we need, for example, I don't think we actually have one backup right back, so that could be a decent shout right there. The left back situation, we have got that covered. Centre backs, we could do potentially with one more. We don't have a backup goalkeeper, for example. That is an absolute necessity. Midfielders, we've got tons of. Wingers, we are okay, but I would argue, especially on the right-hand side, we might need some more. And the strikers, again, there's an argument to be had. We might need a backup striker. Now, the one thing that I will say I'm thinking of changing 1 year in this tactic is rolling out with the double advanced forwards, because this lad here, he can play the DLF role, but if you have him as an advanced forward next to Canate, the pacing behind will be absolutely impossible to defend against. So we're going to consider that, but let's get into Season 2 after a very disappointing first season and see what we can do. Well, I can't believe what's happened here, because usually Leipzig get their players poached. They've poached them from us on this occasion. Now, Karim Canate is going to go to RB Leipzig for 32 million. Now, he did play 18 games for us in that league. He then joined Leipzig halfway through the season and scored a goal every other game, so he is absolutely thriving, to be fair to him. But it's very annoying because we have kept him for literally a season and a half. Yes, we have doubled our money, but we have lost easily our best striker, and that makes me worry. How bad did we fall off in that last half of the season? Because he was putting up some goals. To lose them goals, very hard to replace. He did, however, at the start of the season pick up a player in Nicolas Romero. He comes in on the free, plays 17 games, drops above a 7 rating, so he performs really, really well. He's not a world-class centre-back, but do you know what? Good enough to get into our team, and a player that definitely can hopefully pick up a few more games next year. You also have to pick him up when you can. One of the best right-backs in the game, and probably will outcompete Fort in terms of getting in the team. He comes in for 13 million, drops above a 7 rating, 33 appearances, 5 goals, 5 assists. You cannot not sign this guy when he's available, and usually to get him for this price, you have to pick him up in the first 3 windows, usually first 2 windows. Then his value goes from like 13 million to 50 to 70. It goes up and up and up, so you know what I mean. It had to be done. You're also going to lastly pick up a player in Arthur Vermeulen, I believe so you say that. He comes in from Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig should I say, technically from Atletico Madrid, for 18.5 million, 27 appearances, 6 goals, 3 assists, and also a 7.19 on the average rating. And this guy is just very well rounded. Now I will say, based off the overall attributes, the stats, whatever you want to say, he might not look like a world-class player, but he's still very young. He can still grow absolutely massively, and he can also play a variety of roles, so a very flexible signing. And if you are wondering, Josh, why did you not sign a goalkeeper? We had someone in the under-21s who is more than good enough for backup, so I've not lost my mind yet. Of course, just 2 competitions to play in the first one. We've got to go out very early in the Pokal. That is going to be against Wolfsburg in extra time in a 7-goal thriller. A very, very early exit, meaning the only thing left to show you is the Bundesliga. We have improved massively. We are now going to be a top 4 team, which is very good for money, hopefully, and also just good for the club. A top 4 team is a lot better than a 10th place team. 6 places gained in 1 season. And in terms of players, we have not got too many people, apart from Hugo here, in the joint first most player of the matches, and also Noah Atabolu, to be fair, in second place with the clean sheets. We're not really dominating the player stat line, so it really is a good team effort. Now, in terms of the tactics, obviously, Kanate is now gone, so it's going to be interesting to see who gets in there. It is going to be Matanovic. Now, this guy is not going to cut the mustard at all. We are going to have to go out and sign a striker, in my opinion, and if we look at the player stats, they look very, very low down, to the point where I'm not even really going to pay too much attention to them. This team has scraped top 4, but we are not doing it with any sort of dominance at all. We do need new players to come in, and the main one at the moment is going to be a striker, and I think that's quite obvious as well. Now, hopefully the money is there. We have got £61 million, so that's more than enough to hopefully go and pick up a good young striker. Now, there's tons of strikers we can go and pick up. Obviously, I wish I wasn't in this situation because I would have had Kanate, but looking at the team, it might be time to eventually go now to that double advanced forward, although I do like the DLF because he holds up the ball. But let's go in to the 3rd season after definitely an improved 2nd season and try and replace Kanate. That is some challenge. First player we're going to bring in is not going to be Kanate's replacement, don't worry. It is going to be a player for the future in Paul Vanna. Now, he comes in from FC Bayern's 2nd team for £9 million, so an absolute steal. But he doesn't play a game, which does surprise me, because he can play in a central midfield area, and he can also play out on the right-hand side. So, very surprising he didn't get a game, but for £9 million, I'll take the fact that he is simply one of our players, and we can train him, develop him, and even send him out on loan if we need to. He has got tons of potential, and the worst comes to worst, we can easily flip him and double our money. Also going to pick up Stefan Bajatek. He's going to come in from Liverpool for 27 million, plays 16 games. Again, a very good player, to the point of where I thought he would have played a lot more games, almost every game. He can play 3 positions, and every position he can play in, centre-back, central midfield, or DM and midfield, he should be getting into the team in. So very surprised he didn't play more games, but it's an okay first season, a very good price for him. And again, when you look at young midfield players or centre backs, he's up there with some of the best you can get, especially for a team that are yet to win any big trophies. The attraction was there, so I thought, you know what? Let's bring him in. And lastly, our last signing is going to be Yildiz. This is going to be your Kanate replacement. Now, he comes in for 29 million, scores 10 goals, 6 assists, 6.87 on the average rating. It's a very good return for his first season. He can play in the DLF role. He can also play in the advanced forward role. One of the key things I was looking out for is a striker that can play both, because if I do look to change it, I want them to instantly be able to adapt to it, and he can. So hopefully Yildiz, and the addition of obviously these 2 other players in Bajatek and Vanna, although Vanna didn't really play a game, hopefully these 2 lads here have kept us in that top 4. That's all we can ask for. Can't quite get to terms with the Pokal, can we? Because we're going to go out again in the 3rd round, this time against FC Bayern. So not as humiliating, but it would be nice to at least get to a final now. Champions League, we are going to fall quite early, to be honest. This time it is going to be against Juventus, a very close game. But I will say, in terms of the actual league phase, we're down here in 19th. Now, we can see us if we follow this along. We did beat the likes of, well, all the easy teams. We drew against Madrid, Atletico that being, and Tottenham. And then we got pretty much blistered by Arsenal, Chelsea and RB Leipzig. So we're not quite ready for the Champions League yet. And unfortunately, as you can see, we have fallen off a little bit when it comes to the actual Bundesliga. We are now down into 7th place, and It's a little bit annoying because we sort of went through a season, a big progression to then coming down quite a fair bit. So a little bit annoying, it has to be said. And in terms of the stats again, we have literally got no one to talk about. So despite having what I think quite a good team, we've not really got players that are taking over stat lines. And from past experience in rebuilds and tactic making, you need players to be standing out to really, really, of course, be dominating your league. So it's not ideal. If we actually go over to the squad and see, the issue we've got here is there's not enough goals coming in from the team. I mean, Yildiz is instantly going to be our top goal scorer with 15 goals, 12 from Hugo, then it drops down to 6. That is when you know you've got an issue. A lot of the teams I've rebuilt, when you start winning league titles, you've sort of got 2 players with 20 plus goals minimum, maybe one in the 30s. You've then got a batch in the sort of 10s, then you got a few on the old 7s. We have literally not got one in the 20, and then we drop from 12 all the way down to 6. That is never going to win you a league title. So a bit of a disappointing season, to be honest. And in terms of money, we are back down now to having about 43 million, which is fine because although we're not exactly taking over world football at the moment, every season we're playing, these players should technically be getting better. So that's what we're going to hope for, and hopefully by sort of season 5 we're going to come into our sort of golden era where our players develop to the max and we're ready to take on like Bayern, Dortmund, these sorts of teams. But for now we've just got to keep our heads down and keep improving, and let's just go and try and spend 43 million and strengthen somewhere. Looking at the stats right now, still you can argue now we're actually better defensively than what we are attacking. So it's a tough one to decide what to do. We have gone big and we've made a big call to spend all of our money on one player. That is going to be Ronny Bargi, coming in from Borussia Dortmund for 31 million. The fact that Dortmund actually sold him to us, I don't know what they are doing. He come in, and I will say I have seen him do a lot better, but for a first season at our club, 6-6, I will somewhat take. He's also played very well based off the average rating, and he is still only 22. He has got the pace, he's got the agility, he's got the fitness, he's got the dribbling, he has got everything you'd want for a winger, and also he is very, very young, so he can carry on growing, and of course, playing at Dortmund, he has got the experience in the Bundesliga. Now, it is a big gamble because he is literally the only business we done, and sometimes that goes horrifically wrong. Let's go and see what it done for us. I did get my wish to get to a Pokal final where we lose to Wolfsburg. Of all the teams we could have matched up and teams that I thought we could have beaten, Wolfsburg would have been a team that I pretty much would have banked on us beating, and we lose 3-0. It's good to get to the final, but quite disappointed we didn't win it, but fair play to them. Into the Europa League fixtures, we are going to go into the round of 16, and we are going to beat Ajax 1-0 over 2 legs, so a very, very close game there to get into the quarterfinals where we just get past Club Brugge. So far, these games have been pretty neck and neck, so this is no means done in any dominant fashion. Every game has been quite close, and we are going to beat Newcastle a bit more comfortable, and we are playing with Wolfsburg again in another final. If there's time to get revenge, it is now, because they can have a Pokal if we win the Europa League. Let's go and watch the final. Then, so the Europa League final against Wolfsburg, and we are going to go, oh, what is happening there? That is reckless. A good finish, to be fair, bar and down as well from Bargi inside of 1 minute to put us 1-0 up. We're then going to have Wolfsburg with a throw-in, a good interception into Hugo, into the box, going alone to make it 2 inside of 10 minutes. And this final might already be done, as we are going to look to press again, and unfortunately, they press with Serge Gnabry. How is he at Wolfsburg to make it 2-1 in the 76th minute? So at the moment, we are still holding the lead up until this point. In 79 minutes on the clock, so about 2 minutes 40 after their last goal, they're going to equalise and make it 2-2. So everything all back and level. Where they're going to pick up the ball and lose it, Gnabry into George, through into Majer, who's going to take a touch and lash it past Atabolu in the 85th minute. And at the moment, they're winning the game. Up until a 90th minute goal, Hugo's going to cut it back into Bargi, into Stefan, and this game gets sent all the way through to extra time. where we are going to come out and be the lucky team, a ball over the top into Rego, a little touch inside into Nene. We're going to be Europa League winners. It's right, we are going to be Europa League winners in Season 4. That is what these players need, a big confidence boost. And as long as we have done the top 4, or even anything actually, we've got Champions League football from this, but we are in 5th place anyway, which is more than good enough considering we have won the European League as well. Hugo's going to be in the top goal scorers, which is good to see. We are also going to have no other players. Actually, I tell a lie, Chabibi is going to be in there as the top assister. So again, a very, very good player. Glad we have got him in the team. A very, very good player. And that actually results in a very good season. A decent league display, a good trophy to win, and a good performance in the Pokal, where I do feel like we could have beaten them, but clearly Wolfsburg have got a good team. Who have they got in charge? They've got Ralph Hasselhuttel, of course they have got him. And in terms of the team, Nabry, Wimmer, their team's actually okay. So I wasn't expecting them to have Serge Gnabry on the left, which is a bit of a statement. But in terms of our tactics, let's go and see some of the player stats. And this is what I mean. We have now got 2 players with 32 goals. This is where you're going to see an increase in performance, because your team's scoring goals, goals equals wins as long as you can defend. Our right back in Coyote, 13 assists. Hector Fort with 7 at left back, 10 and 12 from Bargi, a great performance. Regardless, Chabibi, 11 and 17. The bench is still looking quite quiet, sorry. But other than that, a very, very good season. And we have got a total of 100. Wow, that is a lot of money to go and spend. That clearly is the Europa League money coming in, or that is on steroids. We've got £142 million to take in to the next season. Now that I'm gonna check no one's been sold, because it's a lot of money. I don't think anyone has. Okay, that's fine. So we have got a lot of money to go and pump into this team now, and there's still a lot of areas we can improve. So let's go and have some fun. Let's now try and push on for, well, let's try and push on for a Bundesliga title. We'll try and bring the Champions League back. That might be a bit of an ask, but let's see what we can do. We have spent big. Now, don't worry, it's not our entire budget. It's actually a very reasonable price tag for Lamine Yamal. He's going to come in from Barcelona. Now, I will say he was injured towards the end of the season, hence why a lot of down arrows are on his stats. Of course, he's not usually this, well, it's not even bad, but usually a lot of his arrows are all the way up because he's an absolute monster. He comes in for 60 million, 12 goals, 4 assists, a great first season considering the injuries as well, and he is just such a well-rounded player. Can play on the right, can play on the left, can even play as a striker. This guy, I believe, genuinely can win me a Bundesliga. He is incredible. Also going to pick up a backup left back, and definitely one for the future. It's going to be Lawson Cugley. Now, he comes in and instantly gets sent to that second team where he plays 24 games and drops a 6.87. He cost me 12 million, but I do believe for a player for the future, we have got one here. He's already got the pace, he's already got the tackling, he's got the determination. All he needs now, well, that's the experience. Lastly, we are going to pick up another player for the future in Fasondo. He comes in for a total of 4.5 million. He plays 16 games, does very well in them in terms of scoring 2 and a very good average rating. To be honest, considering the amount of money we could have spent, obviously this was already done, we only spent, what, about 75 million out of the 140 something, so we've not gone too crazy. No one on here either, as you can see. The big boy here is Lamine Yamal. The question is, has he won me that Bundesliga title? Let's go and see. Quickly answer your question. The answer's no. We're going to be in 4th place, so we've got Champions League football, which is okay, but I would like to see us sort of at least get into the top 3 now, really push on and try and be competitive. Now, Yildiz is going to be joint second top goal scorer, which is nice to see. Chabibi there in 4th place with the average rating, and also Ronnie Bargi joint first when it comes to the most assists. So I will say, in terms of player stats, we have got some players in there, but I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed. The only thing that I will say, which is somewhat going to help me cope with the situation, is this is very close, right? We're talking about a 5-point difference from 4th to 2nd. It was really, really close. So you're looking at around about 2 games. 2 wins can change everything. So maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. Pockle, we're going to take a step backwards in, as we are going to go and unfortunately get knocked out in the semi-finals. Again, we would have faced up against Bayern, and as it stands, I don't think we can beat them, I'll be honest. First opportunity to lift the Super Cup, and we're going to bottle it against Arsenal. They have got a very, very good team, but it would have been nice to win it. This is probably our only chance. Much better display in the Champions League phase, as we are going to play 8. We're going to beat teams like Chelsea, Salzburg, Bologna. We also do draw against Porto, and our only losses are very close games against Inter and Bayer Leverkusen. Unfortunately, we are going to get knocked out in the quarter-finals against Barcelona, but for a decent sort of performance, I'm going to take it. Of course, that does complete this season, and it is a season of absolutely nothing. We have won 0 trophies, and as you can see, at the moment, it's looking pretty empty. Last season was quite nice, wasn't it? The Europa League win, a real big improvement, but this season now is just a season of almost. And if we go over to the squad right now, we can actually see what's happened. Now we haven't got them strikers scoring 32. Of course, we're not getting as many wins, etc, etc. We have, however, sort of rounded it out. We've got 24 from Yildiz, 18 from Yamal, Chabibi coming in with 18, 8 coming in for Bargi, and Mender there with 7. Assist-wise, quite good. We've got 4 players with 10 plus assists, so the stats aren't diabolical. I just think it's about... I don't want to be the person to blame the fixture list, but when you're playing in so many competitions, including the Champions League, that of course I do want to try and win, you've got to put out a very competitive team in every single game, and it's not easy to do that using just young players. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over and take our budget of 79 million, take it into the 6th season and see what we can do. Realistically, I think our team is actually still quite... It's not small, but in terms of the players on the bench, I feel like we can still improve some options on there. So we're going to head over into that transfer window and try and improve the second team, because I feel like our first team on paper is really good. Yildiz, Yamal, who is now playing as that advanced forward, Chabibi, Bargi. The midfield may be an improvement needed. The back line looks pretty decent, to be honest. But let's go over into the 6th window and see what we can do. Fortunately, Nene is a player that I've always liked because of the Salzburg save I've done. He has come here and he's had moments of magic, but he's never really set light to anything. He's had some, sort of decent performances in games, but not really set light to the league too well. So he is going to go on the free to the Austrian league, where he does okay, to be fair to him. We didn't spend that much money on him, and I just thought, do you know what? He's taken up a wage. Let him move on. That was our only outgoing. The players coming in, look at this guy. Now, he is going to be a new gen, a wonder kid coming in. It's going to be Hannes Erlascher. He comes in from Hertha. He cost me 32 million, 4 goals, 8 assists, drops a 7 rating, which is very decent. Look at the speed of him. 17 acceleration, great agility, great pace, great crossing. The only thing I will say about him is I don't actually know how we got him for 32 million, because his value is absolutely through the roof. But I put it in, it wasn't a release clause or anything, it was paid up front, and when that offer come on, I know we've got Yamal, I know we've got Bargi, but I couldn't really miss him. He's such a good player. Lastly, we are going to sign Pep Montillo. He is going to come in from Barcelona for a total of 27 million. He plays a ton of games, 1 goal, 5 assists, drops a 7 average rating, and he comes in midfield, and he's just a stacked player. He's got great attributes from technical to mental to physical. He does it all to a very high level. A fantastic player, and just with these 2 signings alone, I am hoping, now that we've bolstered up the team a little bit, we can be competitive, whether that be winning the Bundesliga now, or probably not winning the Champions League, but at least getting to maybe a semi-final there. Let's go and see what we can do, because these 2 players have both contributed big time to this season, and I'm hoping now that Yamal's up front, this guy would have played a lot of games. We have got a lethal attack. Let's go and see what we've done. Well, the Pockle we just can't get to grips with. Usually you win the Pockle in like the 2nd season. We can't win the Pockle at all. It's going to be another final. This time we are going to lose against Borussia Dortmund, so a bit more of a respectful team to go out against, but we can't win it. And usually, as I keep saying, this is a cup that you sort of win, which you don't really want to keep winning. We can't even get our hands on it. We can get our hands on, though, is going to finally be that Bundesliga title. title. 6 years it has taken us, and I tell you what, I think it comes down to one man. It is going to be Lamine Yamal. He comes in, and this guy now looks like an absolute monster of a player. He comes in with 22 goals, average rating second place. Noah Atabolu, a big shout out to him as well. Chabibi as well, a great job. Really a top job from all the players, but we've got to give him his flowers. Yamal and Atabolu are standout players in this season, and if he's done anything like this in the Champions League, we might see ourselves, hopefully, in a semi-final. So then, into the round of 16, where we are absolutely going to batter Marseille 5-2 over 2 legs, which hopefully gives us confidence into the quarterfinals where, okay, maybe not that much confidence because we only win just, and I mean just, on penalties against Bayer Leverkusen, which does put us into a semi-final, which I can see with one. We've beaten PSG 3-1, and we're going to face up against Real Madrid in a final. I would have rathered Chelsea, and it was close to getting Chelsea. This could be heartbreak for the team. This could be bad. Biggest game of most of these players' careers, a massive game, a Champions League final, and I tell you what, the way we start is absolutely remarkable. Yildiz, the Turkish king, is going to make it 1-0 inside of 26 minutes, and we don't slow down. Yamal puts a ball in, a great ball in, and a great header, but awful goalkeeping there from Seaman in goal for Real Madrid. Mbappe is going to scrape back a goal there to make it 2-1 in the 68th minute, but, and I say this with the biggest smile on my face ever, we are going to be your Champions League winners with Lamine Yamal making it 3-1. What a difference he has made. Meaning, we have done everything that we wanted to do in one season. And usually this is what happens in Football Manager sometimes. You go so dry upon trophies, and bang, just like that, your team starts to click, a couple of signings perform, and it all comes your way. The only thing we have not won in this video is going to be that DFB Pokal. But apart from that, we have done everything. And in terms of stats, Lamine Yamal has to be given credit. Yildiz has had a great season. So has Chabibi, a great player. 9-3, 7-13, 3-11 from Coyote. We look at this team now, and some of the players that we have brought in have had such a big role. Obviously, this two up front, it might be one of my favourite duos as a striker partnership I have ever used this year, especially in a 4-4-2. Now, in terms of players, if you like Wonderkids, you like regens, you like that sort of part of the game, you do want to go over to that Patreon and get this game save file and this tactic because it is absolutely broken. Make sure you go over and get involved because we've also got a massive, biggest ever giveaway going on. It's a ridiculous giveaway, so make sure you go over and check it out. But this team has officially been rebuilt not only into Bundesliga champions, but into Champions League winners. Nearly got that wrong. And the challenge I'm going to set you is a tough one, but I think you can do it. It is going to be to win the treble. So the Bundesliga, the Champions League, and the Pokal. You are allowed to sign players not above the age of 21, and you are going to have a budget of £86 million. And I'm going to give you a maximum of 2 seasons on top of this to complete the challenge. Send me a screenshot if you get it done, and I don't know what you'll get as a prize. I'm not too sure, but send me the screenshot if you get it done. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.